Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rahul Binoy, and I'm the event head and your host for today, representing ASMA. ASMA stands for Adoption of Social Media in Academia. It is the leading community in academia, catering to all segments of education sector, comprising of schools, preschools, higher education, government bodies, and corporate houses. ASMA, in on itself, is a knowledge sharing platform that helps to uncover latest insights, anticipating future trends, and providing a transformative social media framework. Today's event is a part of the series that we have been doing under the banner of India's Admission Hunt. With that being said, let's move on to the much awaited panel discussion of the day. I'd request the audiences to keep yourself engaged by dropping down your questions in the chat box for our speakers to take up. The topic of today's discussion is enabling experiential and research-based learning in engineering. I'd like to warmly welcome the eminent speakers we have in here today with us, starting from Dr. A. Govardhan, Pro Vice-Chancellor, Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Hyderabad. Then we have Dr. A.K. Gupta, Executive Director, D.Y. Patil College of Engineering and Technology. Then we have Ms. Moulshree Dubey, CEO, Professional Institute of Engineering and Technology. Then we have Dr. R.S. Chauhan, Director, Parkash, Mukand Innovative Engineering and Technology. And then we have Professor Dr. Nihar Walimbe, Principal, Dhole Patil College of Engineering. Then we have Dr. Vaishali Patil, Principal, International Institute of Information Technology. The moderator of this August panel will be Dr. Jose Kannampuzha, Director, Academics, Jyothi Engineering College. I welcome you all once again. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Now, leaving the screen to you, Dr. Jose, to take up the discussion forward. Dr. Jose, over to you. You're on mute, sir.
Yes. So good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, eminent speakers on the panel, Dr. A. Govardhan, Dr. A.K. Gupta, Dr. Moulshree Dubey, Dr. R.S. Chauhan, Dr. Nihar Walimbe, and Dr. Vaishali V. Patil. Office bearers and organizers of today's program called India's Admission Hunt 2021, undertaken by ASMA, Adoption of Social Media in Academia, which is a leading global community of academia. And today, this great panel is discussing on a very, very important topic on education. Education has been and had been a matter of experiment from time immemorial, we would say. We were following till recently the traditional methodologies in learning, especially in engineering. Now things have undergone a thorough change. From chalk and board, we have traveled a lot to a new horizon altogether. We can say a paradigm shift has taken place. And this is what we are going to discuss today. Now, my dear friends, who are the participants sitting in different corners of the country, and my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. Education at the moment, especially when applied to engineering, is called the outcome-based education, OBE. Now, we were focusing more on this, especially in the engineering field. Other arts and science area, of course, they are trying to catch up. But in the accreditation process by National Board of Accreditation, they are emphasizing on the outcome-based education. There are so many methods. We are focusing or starting with Bloom's taxonomy, and then other measurable parameters, and then we are moving across. Now, this year or last year, perhaps we can say, we have come across with a new NEP 2020, wherein a lot of things are discussed. The main focus has been given to GER, gross enrollment ratio. At the moment, it is only 26.3. By 2035, the promoters of NEP are envisaging a GER of 50%. So a real growth in the gross enrollment ratio must be happening. And the universities at the moment, there are 37.4 million students enrolled in the Indian universities. Now this must give a new picture, new hope for the coming generations. Also in the quality measurement segments or the areas that are connected to the quality measurement, there is also a thing called NSQF, National Skill Qualification Framework. And every engineering aspect has been divided into different levels. Up to 10 level, we know it is there. The entire focus on education is focused on three things. One is the cognitive knowledge, the improvement and enhancement in this. The second is the skill enhancement, the psychomotor segment, and finally the behavior and responses. Now, this is the area we are going to discuss. Now, we have these eminent speakers on the panel. Now, the traditional methods must go, and we have to have a new paradigm shift in this. The dynamic workforce is the focus in our discussion. Workforce is to be generated. Now, we can make a comparisons with other world countries. You see, in our neighbor China, their workforce is very efficient and very strong. And we are, perhaps we can say, we are not performing up to the mark in this segment. How to catch it up? This is the thing. Now, a new experiential and research-oriented learning will we be capable of catching it up? Can we generate a workforce? Workforce doesn't mean it is a physical work alone. It is a cognitive work and many other works in every dimension that we are thinking about. And that is the objective. Now, as I mentioned, it is not confined to the physical work. It should be cognitive, it should be skill focused, and we are in a world, a new world addressed as Industry 4.0 world. The new technologies have emerged. There is a plethora of the new technologies. Now, this we have to start with, and we have to empower our nation, our Bharat, into a new country. Of course, Dr. Abdul Kalam was envisaging India to be #1 in every field by 2020, but it is over. We could not make it. Still, we can make a dream. At least by 10 years or 15 years from now, we will be world #1. May not be in every field, but in some of the fields. So education is the best tool for that. And this is the background under which we are going to have the discussions. The deliberations must be focused on this. So here, we are thinking about the experiential and research-based learning and how to enable it. Whether the system can be exactly fit into the present existing university system, or should we make any alterations? Now, whether we can think about the new NEP, whether that will empower us for this purpose. This is our main motto. So we are going to have some 6 questions. And the first question we are going to have is like this: how can research-based learning foster competencies for a versatile workforce? Usually, when we think about workforce, our concept is confined to the physical workforce. It is actually not. It is extended to all fields. It can be intellectual, it can be skill-based, it can be so many other things. Expertise can be in any area. Now, the research-based learning can foster the competencies in this area. This is the first question. I would request Dr. A. Govardhan to elaborate this topic for coming 5 minutes. Yes, Mic is handed over to Dr. A. Govardhan. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, the distinguished panelists and Reverend Dr. Josh Ji, who has been, coordinating the entire process of this, discussion. Thank you so much. So, as rightly pointed out by the moderator, today the world is under the transformation across the globe, and in the context of India also, particularly in the context, as rightly mentioned by the moderator, in the context of Industry 4.0, Education 4.0, and also in the context of new National Education Policy 2020, NEP 2020, several new paradigms have been introduced. I'm sure in the coming 10 to 20 years, the whole process, the entire education system will definitely undergo several transformations, and the fruits of this entire policy maybe it may come in terms of the milestones from time to time. So we may not expect the entire set of fruits at one go, but we would see some of the fruits may come maybe after 5 years down the line, and you may see some of the fruits after 10 years, and some could be after 15 years and things like that. So the very essence and emphasis, as rightly mentioned by the moderator, is that the kind of learning paradigms we have seen several paradigms from time to time, which are coming, and which are in tune and in with alignment of the latest trends and technologies, particularly more focus on the employment opportunities for the graduates or postgraduates who are coming out. There are two aspects here. One is the as far as any graduate or any student is concerned, the employment is one aspect, and the second is whether they can be employable is another important aspect, and the third aspect is about their survival. Once they get the employment, will they be able to survive in the entire career path, and how to tune themselves from time to time based on the technological changes and also the learning paradigms. So all this can come as a foundation during the university and higher education. See, as everybody is aware that we will not be able to make them aware, make them blunt everything under the sky during their the education process. Perhaps they would learn around the 25% during their graduation or post graduation, as the case may be. But as and when they move from the academia to the industry, and the kind of inquisitive nature they have, the kind of curiosity that is created, and the kind of research tempo, as rightly mentioned, the kind of research tempo that you have, that motivates, that drives them to excel the in terms of the subjects, in terms of the topics, or in terms of the technologies that they have. So that would definitely motivate them. So the fundamental point which has to be conveyed to the students and the graduates is that the continuous learning is one of the essential components which has to be learned by the students, that they have undergone with some kind of training in terms of the theories, concepts, experiments, but they have to explore the concepts. They have to see that the concepts that they have learned are applicable to the industry, they are applicable to the society. How best we can produce the cost effective and low cost solutions to the society from time to time. So definitely, if the graduates have a kind of motivation in terms of exploring them with curiosity, in terms of the research flavor, then the kind of learning process that they can have is totally different than just learning the concepts and trying to make them prepare themselves for the only for the grades and getting the degree and certificate. But if they really focus on like whatever we learn, how best we can make use of such things during the entire professional or R&D related aspects. So that would definitely help the graduates. So in my opinion, what has to be done during the learning process in the campus is that the entire stakeholders, the entire ecosystem particularly in the present context, you have the startup, incubation, innovation. So this entire ecosystem should be provided for the graduates and students to explore themselves, not only from understanding the concepts, but from the point of view of the applying these concepts and explore those things and innovate things. So we must have witnessed several disruptive technologies coming from time to time, which are most of the young graduates are doing that. So that is one wonderful cue for us to see that how students can be involved in terms of the generating themselves or in creating the scientific temperament among themselves and exploring with a flavor of research component during the entire process of their academic pursuit, and connecting themselves to the industry, and also developing the solutions for the real time problems. The problem could be very small, but the kind of awareness that is given to the students in terms of exploring them, they themselves get show a lot of interest in those lines, and the teachers have a particular role to play in guiding these kinds of activities. I'm sure these inputs would definitely help. Due to paucity of time, I would confine myself to this topic, and whenever required, I would intervene in between. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I request Dr. A.K. Gupta to carry on the same question, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. The moderator for today's program, Dr. Jose, has touched a very important issue, that in our country, we all are talking about outcome-based education, and that particularly into engineering. But what exactly we have done that whatever the graduate attributes which are there, we have adopted those graduate attributes, but what is the learning level of our teachers for those outcome-based education? We are not able to understand it. We are not able to identify it in a proper way. What exactly industry or the outside world require from us, we are not able to understand in a proper way. If you go to the Western countries, you go to European countries, there most of the research is being done by the institutions or universities. Most of the big industries, they do not have research or R&D departments in their organization. They are 100% dependent on the institutions or the universities for carrying out their research. In our country, the industry and the academia are not able to match the requirement of each other. They both are behaving like a 25-year-old husband-wife. They cannot live without each other, but still they do not want to pass on that what exact requirements I have from the others. Continuously, the industry is blaming that institutions are not producing employable or good products. And institutions are saying that industry never comes to us to tell that what they want. Both the parties are blaming each other. And then NASCOM or somebody or some other CII or other authorities are coming and saying that Indian engineers or Indian graduates are only 20 to 25% employable. What we are doing for it? We still are working in that old conventional system of either 70-30 or 60-40 learning, where 90% of the teachers, they believe that I have to go, I have to start the lecture at 9 o'clock, I have to end the lecture at 10 o'clock. It's a one-way interaction amongst the teacher and the students. 60 to 70% we are conducting lectures, remaining 30 to 40% conduct of practicals. And how we conduct the practicals? That students coming together in a group of 5, 6, 10, 20, Any one of intelligent, one of them is conducting the practical, all others are copying the readings and writing the results. If we really want to go for research-based learning, the first thing that we have to identify is what exactly is research-based learning? What exactly is required in that? According to me, research-based learning is nothing but 5 steps that we have to, or 4 steps that we have to define. The first one is, what are the learning objectives from this? Then we have to think, what type of audience I have. See, NBA is coming, NAC is coming, they are asking all undergraduate institutions, tell me what is the level of research or research culture in your organization. Unfortunately, you cannot compare a 60-year-old IIT or 50 years old IIT and an institution which is started in a rural area, right, and also only giving undergraduate education. National education policy first time has addressed that issue, where they are saying that after 10 years or after 8 years, what we are aiming is there should be 3 types of institutions in our country. One should be research universities. Then there should be research and teaching universities. And then there should be degree awarding institutions. We all are degree awarding institutions, where a student having 50, 60, 65, 70, 80% of marks in 10th and 12th is coming and taking the admission. What type of audience I have? Accordingly, I have to decide my research policy. For a student studying in an old NIT or in an IIT, the teacher need not to inculcate the research culture amongst the student, because student itself is a brighter student. For him, attending the lecture is not motto. Whereas in 90% of the engineering institution, the main aim of the student is to pass the exam. We all are creating examination passing engineers. Then what we have to think is, under research-based learning, what expected outcomes I have to aim. What exactly I want? I want a student to write a paper, research paper in 3rd year, 2nd year, or final year. I want a student to participate in hackathons. I want a student to go for a innovative project or innovative idea in 1st year, 2nd year, 3rd year, or 4th year. Netherlands is one of the best example, where they decided that research-based learning is a byproduct of problem-based learning. First, we have to understand what is PBL. The student should understand how to define a problem, because everybody knows that research is nothing. Research can be done when the problem is defined. First, you have to define your problem. So, according to me, we have to move forward. We have to adopt various innovative methods like inquiry-based learning, problem-based learning, project-based learning, curiosity-based learning, idea-based learning, and so on. It's a long process. It requires certain time. I hope that I had tried to touch a very, because the time is a constraint, I had tried to touch a very preamble part of this problem, but later on I will talk in detail. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So regarding this question, Dr. A. Govardhan was saying that only 25% of the total things that we learn are delivered in the classrooms. The remaining things should be given through the continuous learning, exploring concepts within industry, within the college, outside, in the industry, so on and so forth. But what is to be done inside the campuses is to deliver a kind of a research flavor. So more than grades, the focus must be on this. And then because if we can create again an ecosystem for learning with incubations and similar entities, then it will be an excellent thing. So this is a grand presentation, Dr. Govardhan. Dr. A.K. Gupta was very vociferous. From experience, he was speaking about a lot of things. The husband-wife simile, comparing industry and academia is an excellent thing. Generally, as we understand, there is a blame game. Each one, academia is putting blame on the industry and vice versa. So this must stop, and we should focus on real problem learning. And as he was quoting the example of Netherlands, we should also look into this. As he was saying, the industries in the foreign countries or the developed nations are not having their research centers, rather they are depending on in the academia. This must be definitely simulated in our situation also. This is definitely going to be a wonderful thing. Dr. A.K. Gupta, you have done a wonderful thing. From experience, you are teaching us a lot of things. And also, he was referring to the new system of NEP as dividing the entire universities into 3 segments as research universities, research and teaching universities, and degree awarding universities. Perhaps that also may highlight some other things. So now, concluding this question, I'm just discussing the next, we are just moving to the next question. How are Indian universities coping with the implementation of the experiential learning in engineering? This is that what is the present situation, how the universities, Indian universities can cope with the experiential learning in engineering. So I request Dr. Moulshree Dubey to spend 5 minutes on this one.
Good afternoon, all. It's my honor to be speaking amongst esteemed panel members in the education industry, and I thank Dr. Jose to address me as Dr. Moulshree Dubey, though I am few months away from being the doctor. I'm still pursuing my PhD. I would like to address one thing said by Dr. A.K. Gupta before moving on to this question, that we shouldn't compare 50-year-old IITs with the private universities and institutions. There's a big difference, which people don't understand. I experienced this when I was doing my engineering at MS Ramaya, Bangalore, and I was in my first year in 2007. I never used a drafter and the sheets. We were directly, we were exposed to AutoCAD, CAD, and StatPro softwares and the latest updated code books, whereas my friends and colleagues, they were still on the 1971 code books in civil engineering in respective IITs and NITs. So that's the vast difference. And they didn't face this during their employability thing, that though they are not technologically advanced and on the global platform with others in other countries, we studied the latest technology, but that affects the employability in private institutions. They have a tag and that doesn't affect their employability skills, even though they have a coursework, a curriculum which is designed alongside the oldest version of technical aspects. Coming back to this question, how universities are coping up with the experiential learning and research-based programs. Universities have been responding very differently to this. And just the thing that still before the pandemic in 2019, we still were conducting a computer science department exams with a paper and pen, just shows how far we are from designing a curriculum around experiential and research-based learning. And we still are dependent on the internships that students do after their 4th semester or 6th semester, which sometimes don't give fruitful results, and they lack in translating the guidelines into the ground realities. And that's where they lack their skills. So bottom line is we come down to the, it always comes down to the individual universities and colleges and the professors, and it becomes their responsibilities that how well they are equipping the students with research-based learning and how well they are translating this into their curriculum. We definitely need push from bodies like AICTE, and now we have NIE, LIT, the e-portal from the government of India, to make this mandatory the experience-based learning. What I did in PyTech, that was my motto to, to promote learning by practice. That's what I've been doing since past 5 years. There's a term called there's a term called anthropomorphism, where you give human characteristics to non-human things, the attribution of human characteristics, and that's how students are, being engaged and enhancing their learning capabilities in school in 11th, 12th grades, or in microbiology or biology students. And we are doing just the opposite of it. We are treating the engineering students as machines and not as humans, and making them aware of the certain standard codes and not going with the times changing. There's a vast difference between the industry and academia, and we need to seamlessly integrate that difference between the academia and the industry as we talk about education 4.0. So the human connect always helps, and that's what I did. Like 10 kilometers away, a village from PyTech, they are deprived from basic things like electricity or potable water. So what I started doing at PyTech, we started doing project-oriented learning, where the final year projects of 8th semester students were implemented at ground level and through various initiatives. And we were able to upgrade nearly 27 villages across the state of Chhattisgarh. So that's how the students were able to understand how their education, their technology are impacting the lives of people and building low cost and environment friendly projects that can combat the climatic changes that we are facing in today's world. We cannot really rely upon the technical things to be transported from big cities, but we should have that capability and develop experiential learning, that a student studying in a certain area is capable of utilizing his local resources and creating technologies and impacting the lives of people, changing the environment across the nearby villages. And that's how engineering works. Engineering institutes now, as said by Dr. A.K. Gupta, have become only imparting degree and a piece of paper, and the student goes out and he doesn't even know how to translate the guidelines into the ground realities. And that's what my experience is. What we say, building digital resilience in higher education, has only come up after this pandemic. Earlier, as I said, as my fellow panel members said, that we were not focusing on things like practicals. The students take it as something extra and not as a part of the coursework. The practicals are not conducted with that seriousness, and the theory exams, the written, the standard 5 questions, what they see, go through the 10-year question papers, and they just go and write it and get the degrees. This is how the conventional thing has been going on, which I tried to change at PyTech and make it more project-oriented and research-based learning programs, and generating new ideas for the students and making them understand the human connect, that if you are doing an engineering and the institute is in this vicinity, it's in this area, and a village which is just 10 kilometers away doesn't have the basic facilities, what's the use of you doing engineering in this institute? You are sitting here and you cannot help a person. That's not engineering. Engineering is not something for self-benefit, or it has to benefit and impact the society that we are coming from. It has to impact the lives of the people and upgrade the things. And then only we can talk about the global platform or the global stage. We are still lacking far behind from talking about the global platforms.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Moulshree Dubey. I just want Dr. Nihar Walimbe to take the same topic and then elaborate for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. I will start with new education policy, which is classifying the colleges henceforth into only 2 categories. One will be autonomous and second will be at a university level. Universities may be research or the.
Can it be a little more louder, Dr. Nihar Walimbe? A little more louder, or you keep your mic a little closer?
Yeah, okay. Is it audible?
Now it is better.
Yeah. As per the new education policy, now the colleges will be categorized into two parts. One will be autonomous colleges and the other will be the universities. Now, the point is at present moment, many colleges are affiliated to certain universities, which are restricting them in certain making changes into the courses, which are required by the industry. This is one of the hurdles. And to implement this experiential learning, the colleges has to decide on their own policies and working style regarding some additional few points. That's what we are doing at our college. We are not waiting for the university to tell us that this is now included into the syllabus and this is not to be taught or this is to be emphasized. For example, we are teaching at our end to the students to work with their own hands so that they understand the complete procedure. I remember one experiment. The experiment was to find out the pressure drop across the aeroplane wing, and that was the only statement. Students were not given what kind of equipments are to be used, how they will do that, what measurement they will take, etc. Nothing. And the students were asked to find out what they need, how they will proceed, what will they do, and then find out the result and what will be the say particular angle, etc., variation of the parameters. So the students must be thrown into the rather experimental area, because on paper it's very easy to put a straight line. But when I say that the live center and dead center of the lathe is in line, it's a space. How will you measure? So students must be given the scope for the imagination to solve the problem. And that's what I'm trying. And the university is doing few things, but the pace of doing things is very less. And that is what is exactly was said by Dubey madam, as well as Gupta sir has probably elaborated that in a different way. Universities are coping. This is being a transition period. And the university's total process is very being slow. It's not possible for university to change drastically overnight, for which the autonomy is essential. We are providing at our end some industrial experience, and for this experiential learning, the feedback of the student is very much essential, which we are monitoring at our end through certain scheme, what we referred as a teacher guardian scheme. Internships and AICT schemes with the NASCOM or with the Maharashtra Chambers of Commerce and other industries. All these things are providing opportunities, but still the rate is a bit slow. And this rapidness at the government's side is very much essential, because technology itself is changing very rapidly. So what I want to say is universities and the colleges can work out together for this experiential learning, provided certain freedom is given and corresponding accountability can be passed on to the colleges, and that will be helpful to the students. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nihar Walimbe and Ms. Moulshree Dubey. On this particular question, Ms. Moulshree Dubey was elaborating, and a comparison between IITs and the two-tier colleges, definitely we have to take into account. Of course, she was quoting the example of anthropomorphism and other things. There should be a human touch. Curriculum must be thoroughly revamped, reformulated according to the needs of the day and of the place. So she was quoting an example of the village which was very close to the highway, but everything was denied. This is true everywhere. We are close to many things, but we are denied so many facilities and other things. So this must be made available and accessible to the ordinary colleges. That is what Ms. Dubey was elaborating. And Dr. Nihar Walimbe was very vociferous about autonomous nature of the college. For the two-tier colleges which are affiliated to the university system, they do not have the freedom. So to put in a great amount of freedom so that they can definitely plan according to the need must be possible only when colleges are made autonomous, standalone. They only can cater to the needs of the day and of the locality. This is a very, very important point. The example of measuring the airdrop in the aircraft, yes, methodologies we have to design. The colleges are responsible. Then they will take more interest. At the moment, everything is printed at the university level and then sent, and we have to follow it. Definitely, this is a very important point. I think NEP 2020 also is focusing the same point in a very good way. Internship and other activities are definitely helping, and we should focus more on the autonomous nature of the colleges. So thank you, Ms. Moulshree Dubey and Dr. Nihar Walimbe. Now we will go to the third question. Can newer methods of teaching create efficient strategic thinkers and skilled crisis managers? We are focusing on two group of people, real strategic thinkers and also skilled crisis managers. Can these newer methods of teaching create such people? This is the question. I request Dr. R.S. Chauhan to elaborate on this point for 5 minutes, please.
It's really a great honor for me to be here to deliver a talk on enabling the experimental and research-based learning. Dear participants, you are today in this session not only because of your good academics and the achievement, or not because of your good marks, but you are here only because of the passion of your learning, the hunger to learn new things. There is no question that you are in fact intelligent and sincere to your life. This evolutionary quality that you are possessing no doubt will give you an amazing advantage in the life. COVID-19 pandemic put all of us in a scenario which we had never seen and nor predicted. Each fraternity was highly affected today even. But the most affected was the process of teaching and learning in the month of March 2020. The traditional lecture method could not be no longer followed. We cannot follow that methods. But both the facilitator as well as the learner were using the new concept that was the online teaching. But both relied on this new technology by hit and trial method. This online learning method was based on the mixture of the blended learning and integrated learning. And this blended learning of teaching is the best suitable these days. We cannot communicate without this blended mode of the learning. As the Dr. Josh and Dr. A.K. Gupta and the other speakers have already covered, that we have to see on the problem-based learning, that is PBL. And in the case of the blended modeling, we have to think on this PBL. For that, the strategic thinking is a threshold concept in physical, psychological, social, and academic growth of our country. Because these terms are the strategic thinking, which tend to be used to donate all kind of the thinking above strategy rather than a particular mode of thinking. This strategic thinking involves the troublesome knowledge, which I mean that integrating the past knowledge, today reality, and the future itself. This proved that transformation is required. Changing the thinker thing and acting is required. In experimental and research-based education or the learning, we need to foster the 3H. The first H is the head, which need to be learn good things. The second H is the heart, to love the nature, to love the good things. And third H is the hand, to do or perform the experiment. With a great deal of hesitation, these 3H, if coordinated properly, will surely boost up the confidence of our student, and this will make the self-worth and most importantly work on all the 3 spheres, that is the thinking ability, skill development and aesthetic learning. Now these days, the crisis management is a fundamental part of this strategic management. The crisis event can be broken into broadly 3 categories, 3 stages. The first one is before, during, and after. In case of the pre-crisis planning, you will appreciate my feeling. We have come to know that COVID is coming in the month of the January. We were partially prepared for this big problem. And this whole education moved to this new mode of teaching and learning. The second one is when a crisis arises. The crisis arised, and when it has arisen, then our fundamental key is the communication only. And all the 3 stakeholders, the teachers, students, and parents, were suffering for this crisis. Especially the student of the 9th class and 8th class and lower classes. They were not prepared. They were lacking behind because they were not aware about the technologies. Even the parents were the sufferers because of the hard time. And for these all crisis arises, there is after the crisis, which is the current today. Still after the 1 year, we are facing the problem of this COVID. So we have to keep the 3 E's in our mind, that is empathy, engagement, and escalation. Then only we will be able to fight this war of COVID. With the experience of last few months, I have to conclude here that our country, India, like others, a few other countries also, India was lacking in the bandwidth, internet facilities, because of the regional problems also. We were not able to give the proper education. But we have to ensure this thing. Here I would like to touch the third aspect of the life also, skill also, that is life skill. The historical development of the century, this 21st century, says that life skill is very much important. This skill is the ability for the adaptiveness and the positive behavior that will enable the individual to deal effectively with the demand and challenges of the everyday life. The WHO is saying this. Even the publications are not good these days because of the experimental point of view. If we see the last 1 year analysis, we are at number 5 in the publications. We have published about, sir, just 30 seconds only. In last 1 year, we have published about 9 lakhs papers, but at quality, we are at 11 number 1. So this is the another problem which I would like to touch here. So we have to keep the experimental point of view in the mind while giving the learning to the students. Thank you, and I feel sorry I have taken 30 seconds more. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I request Dr. Vaishali V. Patil, ma'am, to elaborate on the same point for 5 minutes. Vaishali, ma'am. Dr. Vaishali Patil. Not audible.
Yeah, I think there's some network issue at our end.
Okay.
Yes.
Or shall we go to another?
So you can move on to the next speaker. I'll check with her. I think there's some network issue at our end. Check with her. You can...
So the next question can be taken for the time being. Can it be all right?
I think so. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, since
I think.
okay, issue is over, or can I go to the next question?
You can move on to the next question, sir.
Okay. Now we will discuss on of course, about this this previous question about the efficient strategic thinkers, whether the newer methods can equip them. Dr. R.S. Chauhan was speaking about the passion for learning. There should be a change from traditional to the online concept that has already taken place. Because we were forced to do that from the last 2020 March onwards, we are depending on online methodology. So we are applying and experimenting with new experiments, with the new methodologies, and this transformation is a very important thing. Okay, it is a mandatory thing, so would say, and our learning must be problem based, and we should start experimental learning, loving the nature, and so on. So the crisis management, he is elaborating that there are 3 phases: before the crisis, during the crisis, and after the crisis. We were experimenting this with COVID-19. So to some extent we were successful, but to many other areas we were not that successful. So that is the reason why the situation has become very critical. So this is a very important area. So we should have, according to him, quoting him, we should have the empathy, engagement, and escalation. We should also focus on life skills. So I thank Dr. R.S. Chauhan for delivering that. Okay, now Dr. Vaishali's her network problem is solved, or I'm going to the next question.
Yes, I think she has joined in back.
Then let her. Dr. Vaishali Patil, on the same previous question, please. No response?
She's on mute, actually.
Okay, then I go to the next question.
Yes, so you can get back.
Can research-based learning encourage students to opt for distinct career avenues? Usually, the research-based learning will be confining the student to research areas alone. But whether they can look for distinct career options, this is a question. I invite Dr. Nihar Walimbe to spend 5 minutes on this particular topic, please.
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible now? Okay.
Yeah, audible, yes.
Thanks. When we talk about the research-based learning, few characteristics are very important. For example, observation. Observation in the nature itself. A lot of engineering has come from the observation from the nature. Point one. Second one, when we are talking about the research-based learning, students get a habit. Every time we are not expecting a patented technology from the undergraduate student. It is not possible. But making the students habitual to verification of the data, documentation procedures, analysis of the data, putting certain conclusions, whether they are correct or not, verifying with the other parties or the research paper publications. These habits are very essential. And if they are habitual to all such a kind of procedures and skills, then definitely the students will have opportunities in the certain other distinct areas. Particularly, I am very happy to say that a lot of research and startups are getting combined, particularly in this COVID situation. Many students have designed the oxygen providing machines. The designs are entirely new, different. How much of them have come to the commercial level is a different issue. But point is that they have learned. Other areas such as the nanomaterial technology, medical equipments, sports technology, robotics and drone applications of drone in various fields, automation and quality products, space research, sustainable energy requirement, all these are very niche areas as compared to standard mechanical engineering, say jobs like a design, production, manufacturing. Same is true for the other branches also. For example, in civil construction, a lot of materials are coming. The finishing of the, if you see the finishing of the bridges and the columns, they are of a very high quality. So a lot of things are going into it. So obviously the students will have a good opportunity as well as the availability of the jobs if they are coming from the research background. Research background is not only restricted to either only R&D department or the design department. A lot of startups and products are coming through the research only. In fact, I remember one sentence of one of the professors in IIT when I was attending that lecture, that if you are not doing research, how can you educate? So education is irreseparable. It cannot be separated from the R&D. So R&D and industry. Once we understand the requirement of industry, then the R&D things can be done. So my appeal, experience tells me that if we are doing a proper research, the students will have a better and better opportunities, not from the employment point of view only, but starting their own businesses, which is a need of this time. And this is where entrepreneurship, innovative and the startups are very much essential, which can come only through the R&D. And to develop this culture at the undergraduate level, R&D projects are very much essential. Suppose we have a class of 60, all the 60 students will not go to the R&D. That is not expected. Say only 15%, 20%, even the lower side, 10% students, if are doing something very new or in a different way, that should be explored. And that is how the progress is done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I invite Dr. A.K. Gupta also to elaborate on the same topic. Not more than 5 minutes, please.
Okay. Thank you. In the discussion that what we have done till now, we are all talking about what is to be done, or what is RBL, or what is PBL. Now the question is how it is to be implemented. I am very fortunate that I run universities, I run autonomous institutions under me. So therefore, we decided that we have to do it. So we started with a very simple experiment of experiential learning. In the first year, what we do, we tell our students to visit industries for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, or 4 day, as per their age. And we have a concept which is called as idea banks. You have to bring a problem, you have to find a solution. And whatever is your solution, it is deposited in the idea bank as your investment. Another part we touched is multidisciplinary. Interdisciplinary is over now. Previously, we were talking about civil to mechanical, mechanical to computers, computers to electronics or biomedical or chemical. But now it is multidisciplinary, where we have to bring engineering in combination with agriculture, engineering in combination with medical science, engineering in combination with physiotherapy, engineering in comparison or in combination with, say, commerce. And that is our main objective of National Education Policy 2020. So here we teach our student in the first year itself one common thing, that R&D or research is not difficult. Let us try to understand how to answer these 5 basic questions. And those 5 basic questions are nothing. They are very simple. We all use at our home in our day-to-day life. The question starts with what is to be done, why it is to be done, how it is to be done, where it is to be done, and by whom it is to be done. And last one, for all these questions, what is the maximum time available? See, if I develop a wonderful, the best of the best mobile of the world, I started developing in, say, Maharashtra. But parallelly, in other countries, sitting some engineer develops that in before me, there is no value for my product. Time is very important. In what time you are going to complete it. And then in my first part, I had touched something about conventional method where 70, 30, 60, 40 means classroom teaching and laboratory. Now we have come up with the third approach, which is blended. In some of the institution, I came up with the technique where it is 50, 30, 20. Classroom teaching is only 50%. Laboratory teaching is 30%. And 20% is experiential learning while working on a problem, working in an industry, working in an open form. And whatever the project or the work or the time the student spends in an industry, that can be convertible into credits. Can we allot certain credits to that? Yes, we are doing. Then we started a scheme where it is called a micro project grants. In the first year, we tell the students that, say, 30th October is the last date to submit your proposals for small projects. Irrespective of the branch, students from any branch can come together. Then those students, they submit their synopsis for their micro projects. Then we have a neutral team from the industry who evaluate those proposals. They grade those proposals with their presentations as A, B, and C. For A proposals, we give 25,000 rupees. For B proposals, we give 15,000 rupees. For C proposals, we give 10,000 rupees. And they have to complete it in 6 months. Students start understanding slowly that how, see, we are too good in identifying the problem, but we are not good in finding the solutions. And slowly the industry are again coming to us now. Ki, sir, your first year students come up with a small problem which was solved. Now we will give you a big problem. In this way, we all have to come together. And lastly, one example I will give. Being a teacher, it's my duty to give examples. So, see, once a teacher called 2 groups of his students. He said that each group of you has to make a pot, earthen pot. For one group, he told that you have to only make one pot, but that pot should be the best of the best, with all precision. And to the other group, he said, for you, there is no precision, no quality check. You have to make n numbers of how many maximum number of pots you can make. He gave 7 days time to both the groups. After 7 days, when both the groups come back, it was really wonderful to see the first group, which has to make only one pot with the precision, with the correctness. Their pot is not to the expectable levels. Whereas because they spend their entire time in thinking, taking measurements, screw gauge, this much centimeter, this much millimeter, this much diameter, how it should look, how it should be there. So they spend their time in unnecessary things. Whereas the other group, where it was the challenge to make and make and make and make. So they started with the first, it was not good. Second, more precision came. Third, little bit more precision came. Fourth, more precision came. And when they prepare the 100th of the pot, it automatically it has every correctness and every precision. This means research cannot be learned without failures. It can be learned through experiential learning. Until and unless we do, we cannot get it. And when we do it, there are ample number of jobs available to our students. The only thing is to change the mindset.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So thank you, Dr. Nihar, Walimbe, and Dr. A.K. Gupta, on this question whether research-based learning will encourage distinct career avenues. Dr. Nihar Walimbe was speaking that we should have real observation of the nature. Students should be taught a particular habit of methodologies like research publications, etc. And we will definitely can have a better future. Examples, research and startups, they combine. Now, especially in this crisis period of COVID, so many startups have come up for oxygen generation, ventilator generators, so on and so forth. A lot of niche areas are there. Then there is the R&D is inseparable from the learning process. That is what Dr. Nihar Walimbe was elaborating, and then Dr. A.K. Gupta, again, the methodology, how to implement must be given maximum focus. It should be experiential learning. It can be an idea pack. And the approach must be multidisciplinary. It is no more interdisciplinary, rather it should be multidisciplinary. So energy, engineering can go with the medicine, agriculture, commerce, whatnot. And the methodology must be like that. The classroom teaching must be 50%, lab must be 30%, and 20% of the classes must be for the experiential learning, going to the industries and all. Do the experiment, commit mistakes, get failures, and then proceed. Then only you can come out. So too much of precision and other things may spoil the broth. So what we should do, according to Dr. Gupta, is that we should be ready to face failures. Thank you, Dr. Nihar Walimbe and Dr. A.K. Gupta, for your wonderful delivery. I go to the next question. Before that, of course, the next question must be answered by Dr. Vaishali Patil. She also is to answer this former question, that is the third number. Can newer methods of teaching create efficient strategy thinkers and skilled crisis managers? That is first part of it. Dr. Vaishali, you can carry, then continue to the next question as well, together in a single stretch. Thus, enabling experiential and research-based learning facilitate better coping mechanism in a cutthroat professional environment. So the question number 3 and question number 5 can be combinedly delivered by Dr. Vaishali Patil, ma'am. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. And sorry for the interruption due to the network glitch. At the onset, I would like to appreciate and congratulate the organizers for choosing this relevant topic for the panel discussion. While I come to the 5th question first, does enabling experiential and research-based learning facilitate better coping mechanism? I would like to divide this question into 2 parts. That is, one related to experiential learning and second related to research-based learning. While we take up experiential learning basically is not at all a new concept. But it has become more meaningful in today's scenario. And the obvious reason is the pace at which the technology advancements are happening. While we talk of experiential learning in engineering, I would like to take the topic to at more a broader level and expand this engineering profession, extend this to various other professions. So if we talk about the various professions, say the medical profession, for example, the law, it may be even the profession of, say, hotel management, or the profession in the pharmaceutical industries and so on. So if we take any professional stream, experiential learning is the heart of any professional education, is what I would like to state on this platform. It is again very obvious because these professionals are further going to apply the knowledge which they have gained for practical outcomes. They are going to get employed in industry and work on product developments. The product may be, say, a software. The product may be the medicines produced by the pharmaceutical industry. It may be a lawyer who is going to practice in the court. It may be a person from hotel management who may be practicing. So there are various levels where the experiential learning is going to count. So experiential learning is the heart of any professional curriculum, is what I would like to state. Now coming to the second part of the question, will experiential learning help in coping up with the mechanism in cutthroat professional environment? So the obvious answer is yes. As the students have developed the skills through their experiential learning to tackle the real-time problems, they will surely be able to cope up with the cutthroat professional environment when they step out of their graduating institutes. The pace at which the technology advancements are happening surely demand that the students cope up with these changing technologies at the pace with which it is changing. And if they don't update themselves with this pace, they will be surely thrown out of the race. So to prove themselves, they have to put into practice the knowledge which they have gained, and experiential learning surely helps them in that direction. This is obvious because experiential learning accelerates the learning process. The mistakes which the students may do during the experiential learning teach them that these mistakes should not be repeated. And that is how they are able to cope up in more better manner. It also inculcates the critical thinking process within the student while they are tackling the real-time problems through the experiential learning. Experiential learning is referred by various terminologies. We commonly also call it as problem-based learning and so on. Now, while we come to the second part of the question, that is, will research-based learning facilitate the students? Now, while we are talking of research-based learning, the statistics which was presented by one of my co-panelist member regarding the research culture in India and few other developed countries. So it very clearly indicates that we have to work very hard on enabling research in India. And we as the teachers should take up this responsibility. Normally, when we talk of research, we always relate it to the levels of postgraduate and PhD. However, research should be inculcated right from the undergraduate level is what is the message I would like to give at this point of time. Of course, the inclination of students at the UG level towards research may surely not be as high as that of the postgraduate students. This is very much understood because of the age group of the undergraduate students and the patience with which research has to be carried out. However, we should not have this research taken up only to that level, but even solving some small problem statements also can be related to the research activity. The student should be encouraged to file patents even of their undergraduate projects, so that they will surely think on the quality aspect of the projects which they do at the undergraduate level. The requirements of patents, they will be aware at that level, and they will take up their project to the next level, which they would have otherwise not thought of. Because obviously when the students think of filing the patents, the applicability of the project also has to be understood from their end. Because the problem statements which they take up need not be of theoretical nature, but they should surely have applications of societal needs to be at more of preference. So all these aspects the students will take into account if they are encouraged to file patents even of their undergraduate projects. Now, in this process, the role of the teacher is very important. The teaching community is always expected to have patience while dealing with the students, and while trying to handle experiential learning and research-based learning, more efforts obviously are required to be put in from the faculty side. But at the end of the day, the outcomes from both these approaches will be surely gratifying, and the students will realize this when they step out and join the professional phase of their lives, when they take up the jobs in the industry. Because there they will be surely able to cope up with the pace with which the advancements are happening in the industry. So with these few points, I once again thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to present my views on this very relevant topic. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I would request Dr. Moulshree Dubey to elaborate on this topic of enabling experimental and research-based learning, whether it will facilitate better coping mechanism in a cutthroat professional environment. Yes, please.
When we say whether this research-based learning will facilitate a better coping mechanism in the professional environment, we need to see what kind of research-based learning are we looking into. In India, I suppose most of the universities are still looking into the assimilating model, which only accounts for abstract conceptualization and relative observation. Like they observe the work done by other countries, done by other institutes, basically IITs or NITs, or they deliver a conceptual knowledge or the basic knowledge that I consider it should be restricted to school level. And we don't take into account the two main aspects of research-based learning, that is the concrete experiences and the active experimentation. If I take an example of how to drive a car, the student in the research-based learning criteria, he's been told who and all have experts in driving a car, where and all this type of car has been driven before, and the basic theory and concept behind driving the car. But actually leaping into and taking the gear in his hands and going for it doesn't really happen. The percentage is very low. If we consider the employability index of 2021, only the 46% of the Indian engineering graduates are employable, which is very less as compared to the thing before the pandemic in 2019. Now the companies are looking up to reskilling or upskilling their employees, because a lot of job opportunities have depleted, and at the same time many job opportunities have been created, like IoT specialists or the data analysts, depending upon the scenario. So we don't know how long we are going to prevail in this environment, and how long we'll look into hybrid or blended models. We need to figure out how this research-based learning need to be taken further to make a student employable, which cannot be capable only through providing them the methods to teach through AR or VR mode. So this is how I feel. And the World Economic Survey, like, we need to keep in touch. They give a very good account of the job surveys and how the jobs are being created. For example, earlier we had this job of post office, which was equivalent to the bank jobs, the students appearing for government exams. And now that job has been completely off the screen. It's been depleted. It no longer exists due to digitalization and due to mailing facilities. So likewise, many on-campus field jobs for civil engineers or for mechanical, for various branches, we need to take into account the branch-wise differentiation while considering the job opportunities and how a course and a program can be created to make the student more employable, considering taking into account the present scenario and digitalization of the learning programs. We cannot stick to the previous way how students were being prepared for job opportunities, like there were campus programs and personality development programs running in the engineering institutes, and now no longer there's physical contact with the teachers and the students. And still we need to prepare them for the upcoming challenges by the society, by the industries. A lot of jobs have been modified, and we need to seamlessly integrate that with our curriculum. And we need to form an advisory board in the institutes where we need to make academia and industry parallel, so that we secure the job opportunity of our students and they don't lose it just because of certain deficiencies in some aspects. So this is how we can secure the job opportunities. Of course, research-based learning helps in coping up in the professional environment, but then what type of research-based learning that needs to be taken care of. If we cannot just stick to reflective observation and or reflecting the things that has been done by other people and quoting it, that will no longer help. We need to have active participation, active experimentation, and on ground realities, and translating the work on the ground realities in collaboration with the industry and other sectors which enhance education. Not only the education industry, but all the industries contribute to education. It's just not about education right now. Several industries coming together and coping up with this mechanism of generating jobs, and how that can be initiated.
Okay.
Those are my views. Thank you.
So thank you. I invite Dr. R.S. Chauhan to join the same question and elaborate less than 4 minutes.
So you are on mute. So unmute yourself.
R.S. Chauhan,
Yes,
please.
am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, now I am.
Yes, how beautifully Dr. A.K. Gupta explained about the problem-based learning. Obviously, it is a COVID phase is a tough time, and Madam have touched a very sentimental effect that the people are losing the jobs only because of the poor research, maybe one of the big reasons. But we have to find out this problem phase into the opportunities. I would like to touch a small story here. The two salesmen were sent to an island for the point of the way of the sales of the shoes. One salesman came back and he replied that there are no opportunity of the or the business of the shoes in that market. But the second salesman reported back that he says that there is a huge market of the shoes in that island because no one was wearing the shoes in that island. The thing is that we have to see the problem. If we take the problem granted, we cannot find out the solution. From the problem, we have to find out the opportunity itself. Because my dear student or the participant of today's session, I would like to appeal, we all are facing the problems. Maybe the learning, maybe the education, maybe the manufacturing, maybe the jobs and many other issues. But we all are facing a problem. Let us ask ourselves, how can I do this thing? How I can solve this problem? If we will think in this manner, simply we can do the thing, and for that, for all this kind of issue, we have to make our personal SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is one of the major analyses which integrates the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats. From the problems, we have to identify the opportunities. I would like to touch the two scientists who also faced the lockdown or quarantine phases in the years of 1560s and 1570s. Galileo, he was quarantined because of the outbreak in the Italy. There were about 50,000 people were died or killed because of the pandemic. Say similarly, Newton identified the problem and created the practices into opportunities. He was also quarantined in that very days. So we all have to see the opportunities which are the solution or the success of the education. Thank you very much for bearing me.
So thank you, Dr. Vaishali Patil, Dr. Moulshree Dubey, and Dr. R.S. Chauhan. Dr. Vaishali Patil was elaborating that experimental learning is the heart of learning. We should get into the real-time problem, and experiential learning accelerates actually the learning, and much more than the classroom learning. And this creates a kind of a critical thinking in the students as well as the faculty members. So it should be problem-based learning. Case studies can be definitely taken, and it should be research-based. Research culture must be inculcated in Indian universities and colleges. The approach of the foreign universities and that of ours are definitely very different, and this should be looked at. So what she was emphasizing was that even at the UG level, the research approach must be given importance. They should be brought into the problem-solving scenario. UG projects must be elevated with a higher quality. There should be patenting, filing for the patenting. The college and the faculty must encourage and support. The teacher's role is very important. They should be visionaries. This is what mostly Dr. Vaishali Patil was elaborating. Dr. Moulshree Dubey, yes, she was saying that we have to observe at the moment what we are doing, only observation, what IIT people are doing, what foreigners are doing, and only on the conceptual level, we are learning theories. The best example she was requesting us to follow is the learning of car driving. Their theory we should understand, also practical. This must be the model that we have to improve. The employability level this year has gone very low. That's what she claims. And this has to be improved by upskilling the already given training or formulated methodologies. So make everyone employable. the World Economic Survey we must be learning to, be attending to. So the job opportunities, some of them will be simply evaporating. The example of the post office jobs, because of the digitization, many of the jobs have totally disappeared. So we have to modify the job scenario. There should be an academia, industry, interaction level working in every college for that matter. And it should be strengthened by all the authorities and stakeholders concerned. And Dr. Raras Chauhan was saying that this is a critical situation. And in this critical situations, there are so many opportunities, challenges, and all. The SWOT and strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat, we should be analyzing it. The example of a land where the possibility of marketing shoes where people are not used to. Somebody is looking at it and then saying there is no scope because nobody has got the habit of wearing the shoes. Another fellow is telling nobody has been to wearing the shoe. We can teach them and there is an ample opportunity. You see, the way we are looking at things in challenging times is a very, very important thing. This is what we have to look into. Opportunities must be analyzed and should be converted into great, great avenues of success and opportunities. Now, with this, I thank all the three experts. And I now come to the last question, how we can connect the experiential and research-based learning with the new NEP 2020. I request Dr. A. Govardhan to elaborate for a few minutes. We are running a little short of time, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much once again. Yeah, as I was just mentioning, one of the examples could be, as rightly mentioned by all the panelists, sharing their own experiences at their institutions or their own, exposure. We also have one program called, Excite program. So adding excitement to learning. This is a 6 to 8 week program wherein we, being the affiliating technological university, JNTU Hyderabad, we identify at least 50 teams, each consists of 3 to 4 students at the undergraduate level. And we, based on their skill set and exposure, we screen them. And after that, around 50 teams are identified. And we train them in the entire product life cycle. So inviting the industry experts, academicians, R&D people, these people are trained and ideas are being generated and they'll go to the product life cycle. So at the end of the entire 6 week program, the competitions are conducted and they have to showcase their own innovations. And then even angel investors would also come and accordingly, some kind of commercialization process is also being taken up. So this would definitely add some kind of excitement for the students to, what kind of returns that they get. So as everybody agrees that, their IQ levels are so high. So we should appreciate and we should admire the IQ levels of the present generation. So what is essentially required is that, channelizing their talent and avoiding the distractions. And this is how, they kind of their inquisitive nature should be properly guided. So as rightly mentioned by all the people, the latest, reports like NASCOM and other important, survey and study companies came forward with a number of such reports with, various skill sets. Which may also change from time to time. If you look at what were the skill sets which are required 5 years back, and what is the skill set that is required now. So there is a change, but it is a continuous transformational phenomenon. So we can't say that this would remain forever. So obviously they'll have to tune themselves in those lines. So one such important thing is adding the flavors of the research, as rightly mentioned by all of us, including the classification of the universities or educational institutions in threefold. But the fundamental thing which has to be added and explored by the students and the teachers have to guide them in those lines is that teaching or learning and research are not separate. So which are part and parcel of the entire learning process. So the students should be given the kind of right direction and right awareness about the research process, their imagination, critical thinking process, design thinking, perseverance, and all these kinds of skill set is very much essential for them in the entire process of their academic pursuits. So obviously, this will definitely motivate them. This present new educational policy, that NEP 2020 would definitely enable these students, particularly, one of the important points which you have seen is that the flexible curriculum, academic bank of credits, and they can also have a break if required. They can go to the industry, or they can have their own startups, and then they can come back. So as and when they feel comfortable. So learning and innovation, as rightly mentioned by all the panelists, is that learning and innovation is a part of the education. So you cannot separate that and say that we do this separately. The innovation happens sometime after the graduation. So it cannot be. So that kind of relation should be, culture should be created among the entire ecosystem. So with which they would be able to really build their research flavor, and they would be able to create solutions to the society. If they believe that we are products of the knowledge institutions, with which the knowledge that they gain is applied for in every walk of life, besides their professional activities in every walk of life, then separately there is no research kind of thing is required, in my opinion. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share my views.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Dr. A. Govardhan was elaborating on the connection and the possibilities that can be incorporated with the implementation of the new NEP 2020. He was starting with the excitement program they implemented in Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, which runs for 6 weeks. The product life cycle is analyzed, angel investors are invited, their talents are channelized, then skill sets are updated, upskilling is really done, requirements of the skills from point to point may be different, and then students must be exposed to critical thinking, design thinking, and all this can be possible in the new NEP 2020 because there is a possibility of the flexible curriculum. Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful exposure. I am really grateful. So on the last point, I just want to wind up. I am really lucky to be a moderator in this great panel with a lot of people with real experience and real achievement, starting with Dr. Govardhan, who is the Vice-Chancellor of the Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, and so many people. So I am expressing my gratitude to Dr. A. Govardhan, Dr. A.K. Gupta, Miss Moulshree Dubey, only 2 months away from PhD. I especially mentioned that. And Dr. R.S. Chauhan, Dr. Nihar Walimbe, and Dr. Vaishali Patil. And also I express my gratitude to the ASMA and all the organizers, the office bearers, and people at the back of it. This has been a very good performance. Once again, my heartfelt gratitude to all the people sitting over the panel, those who are attending at different corners of the nation, and also all the people who are organizing ASME, and all other people say that India's admission hunt 2021 and all the concern. Thank you. A great thank you to all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was a phenomenal deliberation.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank all the eminent speakers for taking some time out of their busy schedule to be here with us on this forum. Dr. Jose, you did a fabulous job moderating the whole session. And it was a joy and pleasure hosting you all. Hope you too had a wonderful time as well. Thank you so much once again. And with that being said, now I'd finally like to thank our wonderful audience for all your time and support. There's a feedback link in the chat box. Do fill it up and help us understand how we can improvise our delivery. Also, do follow our social media handles to get all the updates on our upcoming events. With that being said, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time and support. Thank you so much. Stay safe.
Thank you all. Stay safe.